All right, man, let's start off with a team that made a lot of moves this offseason. One of the New York teams, the New York Knicks. For me, I think it's a little too early for contenders, so chuck them in that playoff lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. They're going to need some time to gel, but once they do figure it out, they might be able to cook because they got Cat. Welcome to our NBA preseason tier list. These rankings are based on how we think each team stacks up for the upcoming season. Our tiers for today's video will be our contenders, our playoff locks, our playoff hopefuls, our mid teams, our bad but not bad enough tier, and finally, the teams that will contend for the Cooper Flag pick. Right now, what the Nets are is they're going to be dashing for Cooper Flag. All right, Cooper Flag, absolutely incredible in the Team USA scrimmage for the Prep Olympics. And he's a projected number 1 overall pick as of right now as well.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nets are going to be terrible. Let's just move on.
Milwaukee.
So this is a tough one, right? I think they're a contender. That's just me. The reason why they did not make it out of the first round last year was mainly because Giannis struggled, and then also Damian Lillard for the year did not really, work out much because he was trying to avoid injury in the offseason. Now, the duo, they're the best duo in the league. If they hit their ceiling, I think they're a contender. I could see a playoff lock though as well. There's a lot of contenders, honestly.
There are a lot of contenders, right? But the reason why they're a playoff lock is because of their head coach. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, nobody's convinced by Doc Rivers. Well-respected coach, has done a lot for the league, but as of right now and his recent runs as an NBA head coach, they have not been good, and everybody could agree with that. So that's the only knock I have.
Let's leave it there for now. I want to see where the rest of the list goes, but I'm gonna let you take the next one.
Raptors, my Raptors. I'm gonna put them at mid. Am I biased? Slightly. But there's hope, right? But this team's young. This team made some moves last year. And obviously, did they get worse? 100%. Don't get me wrong. You got rid of Siakam, Anunoby. Of course, you're going to get worse. But you brought in the likes of Quickly, who could potentially be a starting point guard in this league, a solid number 2 option. Obviously, Scottie looked incredible last year when he was healthy. And right now, in Raptor jersey, RJ Barrett looks incredible, right? The only issue is our depth behind our centers hasn't been great. And honestly, I don't even love our starting centers in general.
Obviously, by Eastern Conference standards, they're a playoff hopeful, but we're going to average it out with the rest of the league. Yeah, even if they get in the 10th seed, 9th seed, they're going to probably get bounced out in the first round anyways. I could see bad, but bad enough. I could see they're in that middle tier for sure, because I could see all three. So just to average it out, let's put them on mid for now. The Utah Jazz for me are bad, but not bad enough.
A massive logo for a shit team.
Okay, so here's why, right? The West is so loaded that these guys are going to probably be like the 14th seed in the Western Conference. However, I feel like their ceiling is higher than the teams in the East, especially. And for that, I think the Eastern Conference teams are going to rattle off the Cooper Flag side of things, mainly the bottom two, especially. They have an all-star, Lauri Markkanen, who also extended. I just think that, but they're not gonna make noise at the same time. So they're bad, but they won't be bad enough to get Cooper Flag.
They need everyone to have a career year. They're like a mid team, but they're just too much competition.
Yeah.
Speaking of mid, I'll go with the Houston Rockets. And the last year, they made some noise to fight for a playing spot, right? At the end of the day, they didn't make it, right? The Warriors still handle business. And overall, that just describes the mid where they finished off last year. Again, young squad as well. They got some young guys going. They might have too many young guys. That also might be an issue. But when you're led by Van Vliet and Dillon Brooks, that's the epitome of mid.
Yeah, that's fair. But obviously, they're Jalen Green hasn't propelled into what his ceiling is supposed to be when he got drafted high. And same thing with, Alperen Sengun is playing well based on no one knew who he was. And then this past year, he stepped up. But yeah, I agree. They're probably mid at the moment. New Orleans Pelicans, playoff hopefuls. I really want to put them in playoff lock. But their lack of center is going to really be a thing. Because Herb Jones is right now projected to be either the starting center or the guy playing majority of the center minutes. He's the type of guy that could handle it for sure. But at the end of the day, speaking of the Houston Rockets, what screwed them over all those James Harden years where they took the center away. And how are they going to out-rebound other people? That's the only reason. But they are my jump team for me personally. But just for the sake of the thing, I know you especially have them as a play-in contender. So playoff hopeful makes perfect sense. The Los Angeles Lakers, I guess.
I can't really go.
Obviously, we both technically have them as playoff lock because we had them top 6. However, a lot of question marks coming with the team in terms of what's going to happen at the head coach spot and how much is he going to get respected. The preseason is going well so far. There's a lot of runs set, and where you already put them in playoff hopeful, that's where I'm going to put them. However, their ceiling is high as contenders, and their floor, I could see them as low as mid.
Yeah, no, I'll say that's the best way to describe
it. All going to come down to JJ Redick for me. I feel like a different.
Yeah, that's the end of his coaching, man. There's no talent issue. There shouldn't be a talent issue in your team. It makes no sense to have a talent issue. Chicago Bulls, I'm gonna go with bad, but not bad enough. Reason being, they lost DeMar DeRozan. Yes, you get Lonzo Ball back, but that guy didn't play basketball for the last 2 years. So,
however, had a really good debut in the preseason, though.
But what can you expect from Lonzo Ball? Not much at the end of the day, especially to start off as a year, right? And no, that's fair, right? Nobody's gonna bash him for that. But overall, yes, you got rid of Caruso, you got Giddey back, but at the end of the day, like it's just time for you guys to make moves and like really start over. And they still haven't really done that with Levine and Vucevic on the roster still. But yeah, you did one step with DeRozan, so honestly, you should be getting worse.
Shout out Lonzo though, back, hit a couple of threes. I think, Giddey could learn off of him. They're both like similar vibes, especially, but Lonzo has been a great shooter. Give some Lonzo some love here very quickly. He will also provide like playmaking and the defense as well. So yeah, I could say mid. We'll come back to it if we have to, but I'm fine with it right now. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the team that made probably the biggest trade of the offseason, which was Karl-Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Honestly, this is a tough one to pick. I am not a fan of the fit of Julius Randle and the trade, but their depth is really good. I'm still gonna put them in playoff hopeful because I have them as a play-in team myself.
Yeah, they're not mid. They're not.
They're not mid.
They're not mid, right? When you have Ant, you can't be mid.
No.
As simple as that. And it's going to take a lot from Ant this year because you lost spacing. You obviously lost a fit.
Added depth, though.
You added depth, but you lost chemistry as well. And right now, it's just looking like it's just going to need to be an Ant MVP year for these guys to actually be a playoff lock, in my opinion, right now. But honestly, the way he played in the preseason, especially against that Knicks team, he might have a chance. And honestly, like don't turn your back on Ant and the Timberwolves because of obviously Edwards. But overall, yeah, spacing got worse. Speaking of worse, probably the worst team in basketball, Portland Trailblazers.
I still probably have the Brooklyn Nets, but from the Western Conference side especially, they're the worst team. They're gonna be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, which is gonna be tough because I already have a lot of big men there as well. So maybe it's an Ace Bailey show. I don't know, but. They're not going to expect much from them this year.
Denver Nuggets for me are a contender. You have 3 MVP years out of the last 4 from Nikola Jokic. You got to hope that Jamal Murray's healthy. You got to hope MPJ doesn't have any more family troubles. I guess that's the way to best describe it. But obviously on court, he's still a baller. Aaron Gordon, again, baller. You lost KCP, but let's see if that young star yet. Christian Braun steps up because will be playing starting minutes now.
He has stepped up, and year by year he went from like a depth piece to like a 6-man type guy to obviously a starter. So we'll see how that goes. Russell Westbrook is the other one. We got to see how he's gonna fit and with chemistry wise.
Russell Westbrook's old team is also a contender.
Yeah. So this was. Obviously, we have him going to the finals, so we have to put him in contender. But at the same time, why not, right? Like this team, the step they took last year, and Chet and J-Dub are only going to get better. Shea is going to be in MVP conversations. You add more defense with Alex Caruso. You're probably going to be the best defensive team in the league. Isaiah Hartenstein, unfortunately, did get hurt. However, he will come in, fill in the role when he does get there as well. Chet could start center for now. So it's gonna be fun. They're gonna have rim protection with Chet and Isaiah when he comes back, rebounding. They're gonna have perimeter defenders everywhere.
They do.
Right? The only thing I said they lack is like a microwave type scorer who could just come up and just heat up, right? So we'll see what they do with that off the bench.
Because you have
Shea, yeah.
You have Shea.
But my point is like, I think now is the right time to put them in contenders.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Memphis Grizzlies.
So here's the thing with the Grizzlies, right? If we put the Timberwolves here because of Ant, we have to put the Grizzlies here because of Ja. At the end of the day, I know he has been injured a lot, but again, Ja is a type of player that could go off for an MVP this year, but he also could be a type of player that gets injured again. But that's what we don't understand about this Grizzlies team is because they haven't done well enough to support around Ja in terms of like when he goes down, who's gonna take over.
Tyus Jones did a very good job though the year that happened, and they came second, right? They don't have that anymore. You have Marcus Smart, but he ain't Tyus Jones as a point guard. Marcus Smart has question marks there as well. Does he want to be there or not? There's so many trade rumors with him as well. But to be fair, yes, you have to put him in playoff hopeful because the last time we saw a healthy Ja for the most of the season, they were second seed.
No, but even like
and he was cooking. Yeah, I know that. And then you gave him a big man, Canadian, Zach Edey, who's could be a rookie of the year favorite because of him as well. I want to put him in playoff hopeful because just the Western Conference in general is playoff hopeful at this point for me.
So Klay Thompson makes the Mavericks contenders for us, and the reason why is because he does not need to score anymore, right? Like how he was needed last year for the Warriors a lot, because you have Luka and Kyrie. And when you have Luka and Kyrie, who could win their one-on-one matchups, they're going to get double teams. What does that mean for Klay? He gets open threes.
Honestly, they were contenders without Klay. So
yeah.
Klay just added bonus because, like, listen, the recent Klay Thompson, especially the preseason in certain games, he hasn't been great at all. So I'll be lying if I said we weren't gonna put him contender anyways. But yeah, Klay is
last year's finalist.
Klay is an elevated factor. The championship pedigree is there with Kyrie Irving as well. I don't expect a drop off because they have PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford from the beginning as well. So hopefully, and I'm projecting a Luka MVP year. The San Antonio Spurs, the Texas rivals. It's a tough one, right? Because I guess it's mid.
I think
it's mid. But then, like, at the same time, can Wembanyama...
But remember, it's as of right now.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, that's why it's mid.
It all depends on Wembanyama, how much of a bigger step he's going to take this year, which we project him to. I love the fit with Chris Paul for this year, and then you drafted Stephon Castle to be his heir apparent, right? They could easily be a playoff hopeful, right? Playoff lock is too early. They could easily be in the playoff hopeful, but I still think they're like at least a minimum half a tier below those teams. Yes, Victor Wembanyama can do what LeBron James did and just start carrying the team on his back. And if he does that, yes, there might as well be a playoff.
My biggest concern for the Spurs is that like Wemby put up numbers last year, like pretty insane numbers. Hard to improve on numbers, and I know it's Wemby. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they were insane numbers, and they have to get 20 to 25 wins better just to make a play.
But see, here's the thing. The difference between last year and this year, they actually have a point guard.
Yeah, I know there's a difference. Don't get me wrong, but like 20 to 25 wins is a lot of wins.
And yeah, the parity is there, so that's why we're putting them in mid. If the parity was pretty bad, then they would have easily been a playoff hopeful.
Playoff lock is the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion, and the reason, your probably favorite reason, is because they got a point guard in Tyus Jones.
Yeah, I really want to put them in contender, but last year was so bad. But like this year, seeing a couple of preseason moments they had, their ball movement is a lot better than last year. Budenholzer is a championship head coach. So was Vogel, to be fair, but Budenholzer's only problem is he doesn't make adjustments. In-game adjustments. Yeah. So we're going to see that as well. But so far, it looks better, the ball movement-wise. And I'm projecting a better offense, especially led by Tyus Jones.
Yeah, Budenholzer is like type of those coaches, like if you would compare to NFL, where his first two drives of the game and the first two drives of half will be good, but the rest of the drives will be shit. That's the type of coach Budenholzer is, in my opinion.
Golden State Warriors are a weird one. Like, honestly, they're a mid team, but Steph Curry's still on that team.
That's why they're a playoff hope.
Exactly. Right? Him alone, like, again, one of the top, arguably a top 10 NBA player of all time, a top 2 point guard all time for sure. Yeah, you lose Klay Thompson, but let's face it, Klay Thompson is the same Klay Thompson. You similar to Christian Braun, you now upgrade AirPods. And then on top of that, like, you're expecting a Jonathan Kuminga to have an MIP year. Yes, there's going to be pressure. You add more shooting, you lose defense, but you add shooting and defense separately with Kyle Anderson and Buddy Hield. And Draymond Green's going to be the X factor, even if he's off on the court, right? Because like that's what made Steph Curry going. He was the guy who
needs to be on the court, yeah.
And now you're going to give him another shooting threat. And Buddy Hield has been a better shooter these last couple of years than Klay Thompson. And if he's knocking them down consistently, Steph won't be able to get double teamed. It'll be depending on the rest of the roster. Andrew Wiggins obviously went through a tragedy with his dad's passing. So all the years when he took the break, was obviously we were assuming it was because of that. Now, yes, he's still going to be playing with a heavy heart, but at least he's not going to be... It's kind of like Brock Besser, where, now he doesn't have to worry about during the games like, oh my God, I have to go check on...
The past is behind him now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way to put it.
But yeah, you have Steph Curry, you're going to be a playoff hopeful.
The Pistons, for me, are in the Cooper Flag territory because they were absolutely terrible last year. We expected them to take a jump last year, but they did not. Other than Cade Cunningham, nobody really convinced me on this roster right now. We got to see more from Ivy. We got to see something for Duren and some other pieces that they have here. They have young squads. Now it's the time for them to like step up because we can't just keep on saying, oh, they're young.
I'm gonna put them in bad, but not bad enough.
Well, I have control, so
no, I know, but like what I'm saying is they added decent vets. Tobias Harris is there. He's a good vet, and I think he'll play well there, right? When there's no pressure, Tobias Harris does well.
Trade piece.
I expect them to be better. Like, I don't think they're going to be a bottom 3 team, right? I think the Cooper Flake thing, we should keep it bottom 3 because there's a team that's coming up that fits that more than the Detroit Pistons. Because at the end of the day, only 3 teams have the same odds to get Cooper Flake.
Yeah, but the 4th is right behind them.
I would still put them at bad, but not bad enough, personally. Because I think they're gonna be a better team.
I don't see it,
on
man.
paper. They're a better team in my opinion than last year.
I don't see
and
it.
you add in JB Bickerstaff.
I don't see it.
Bickerstaff did a good job with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, he
to
did.
Propel them.
He did a good job.
I think he'll do that with.
But at the
these
end of the
guys.
day, they lost 28 games in a row, 29, 20. Yeah, some shit like that, whatever it was.
I'm gonna buy in Detroit this year, and then we'll see what happens.
No, we bought in last year.
I'm gonna buy one.
We bought in last year.
I'm
We'll
gonna buy
talk
in
about
one
the
more
other
year.
team, but I feel like 4 makes sense for the bottom 4. Here, adding to that bottom 3 is guaranteed is the Washington Wizards. Jordan Poole was not good last year. Kyle Kuzma is the only bright spot there, but at the end of the day,
he should not be on that team.
Yeah, he should not be on that team anymore.
You should let Alex Sarr flourish and Bob Carrington.
Yeah, I guess
well.
they got rid of Denny Avdia for some.
That was like, yeah, I hate that
So
trade for them.
like they're messing up the rebuild right now too, so that's already put them behind again. I still probably consider Portland the worst team out of the 3 in my opinion still. But I don't think Pistons are like, at the end of the day from what I saw last year and what they've done so far, I don't think Pistons are that much better than these 3 teams at the moment.
Sacramento Kings, I guess you have to put them in playoff hopeful. You could put them mid or playoff hopeful. I'll let you argue that as well.
I agree with playoff hopeful.
You add DeMar DeRozan. You have 2 closers now. 2 clutch player of the year. Well, one of them won, and I think DeMar just lost to Steph. So you have closers. You don't have to worry about that. Defense is going to be the biggest question mark. But they made that move to free up some cap space, and rumors are they're either going after Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine, which I guess it was a Zach LaVine one doesn't help their defense. But their depth goes crazy because one of them has to be coming off the bench, right? Sabonis, a very underrated big in this league.
Very
as well.
solid, yeah.
So they're gonna make they're gonna just gotta be consistent, and they will be in the play-in hunt for sure, or even you could argue playoff luck, but playoff hopeful for sure.
I'm gonna put 2 teams that had a pretty good offseason in playoff locks, and that's the Sixers and the Cavaliers, both on the opposite ends of the side. I'm gonna start off with the Cavaliers, and I'll let you go for the Sixers. Cavaliers, you got rid of the drama. You finally got Donovan Mitchell locked down, your best player, and he is one of the best shooting guards in this league. There's no denying that. He was absolutely incredible in the Orlando Magic series, in Game 7 as well, where he helped carry Cavs past Magic. Obviously, they lost to the Celtics because Mitchell got hurt. Yeah, so that's one of the big reasons. Playoff lock in terms of the East, they're gonna be a top 5 team in my opinion. They were last year with facing many injuries. Big thing, you need step up years from Evan Mobley on the offensive side, and also Darius Garland as well
To be healthy and be consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, drama for the most part is gone, but that drama might still linger. With the Darius Garland, because remember the rumors were you sign one, the other might be gone.
Yeah,
there's a potential trade candidacy there, right? They have extra big men, arguably Jared Allen, maybe a trade to the New Orleans Pelicans, aka Brandon Ingram as well. So we'll see how that ends up going. But I think
Sixers.
I think they're a lock for sure. The Philadelphia 76ers. I want to listen, I still want to put both those teams in contenders, but the Sixers are my finalists this year. The one thing is Joel Embiid has officially said he's going to be considering his health and not forcing himself to play to win MVP. So the 65-game thing is out for him, which is a good thing in my opinion. They're definitely load managing him, aka gives me the Raptors vibes with Kawhi Leonard when you guys won it all. Listen, when he's on the court, say what you want about Joel Embiid's flopping. That's why we're not a fan of him. But his game overall when he does play is one of the best in basketball, one of the best centers of all time, right? And now you give him Paul George, you're going to take another step of Tyrese Maxey. You give him a good backup center. So those games that you're going to be missing, Andre Drummond can still provide you 20 rebounds, maybe even 20 points at times, depending on who you play that night as well. So for me, I would love to push him up. We'll see how the list ends up. I just think they're upgraded very heavily. And yes, if the Joel Embiid is true to his word and is healthy come playoff time as well, they're going to be a big threat this year.
Yeah.
Speaking of contenders.
Speaking of contenders there, but a quick comment on the Joel Embiid. You can't take it for his word because it's all about health, and that dude just hasn't been healthy. Even if he tries to be healthy, it just hasn't worked out.
It's just now he doesn't need to do as much as he used to before. This is the most talented roster he has had since that 2019.
Yeah, I know, but like at the end of the year, you can't convince. If one thing about Embiid doesn't convince you, it's his health. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what the hell he's doing.
But it's a good sign that he will be taking care of prioritizing taking
obviously,
care of.
Yeah, but like it doesn't matter. It just has to. You just have to see it to believe it. But the Celtics are contenders, reigning defending champions. Still the same squad. You still have, Joe Mazzulla. Obviously, I would say I feel like the drama is created by the media more so than it is actually in the locker room, in my opinion. But overall, again, one of the best defensive teams, can guard every single position.
Porzingis will be out, but
it just doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Porzingis was out all of half last year's playoff run. It just didn't matter. They kept on dominating. So yeah, let's see. And the biggest test for these guys is, can they able to run it back? Because a lot of these teams who have won recently weren't able to run it back. Milwaukee, Denver, right? Or the big examples here.
I feel like this team is the most likely to.
I feel like personally, I think the Celtics do have the best.
Denver was, to be fair.
But Denver did lose like a couple bench pieces.
True. Well. These guys for the most part have the best. They have the best starting five when healthy.
Yeah.
As well. So
and then you have
a couple of Horford and Pritchard off the bench. Yeah. Charlotte Hornets are a weird one, right? With LaMelo Ball, I want to put them in playoff hopeful. But without LaMelo Ball, they're probably in the bad but not bad enough. So mid might be the perfect spot to put it. Brandon Miller had a really good rookie year. He shut up the people that said Scoot Henderson should have went ahead of him. You now Miles Bridges on the team and hopefully does not get arrested, right? So I like their squad overall. I think they have to be in the same tier as the Raptors. Playoff hopeful might be maybe. Playoff hopeful is a ceiling. If LaMelo Ball is healthy,
it's a ceiling.
You could argue putting him ahead of the Raptors in the standings, even like the Hawks, who are coming up as well.
Yeah, speaking of the Hawks, they're also going in the mid too. They got worse at the end of the day, and DeJounte Murray being gone, so a lot more pressure is on Trae Young. Trae Young, again, still a good player, but still has a lot of issues into his game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But overall, this team, we've been expecting for them to show something ever since they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and nothing has ever happened. It's been downhill ever since, and they've just been in this tier of mediocrity for like the last few years now.
Is this the last year of Trae Young before he requests a trade? Just in your opinion?
I mean, it hasn't been working. Honestly, the only reason they have freaking Richarche, it sounds like I'm sneezing. But no offense.
Zachary
Richarche is because they got lucky in the lottery. But otherwise, they've just always been in this mid, again, play-in 9, 10.
Not the draft for them to be lucky in as well.
Exactly, right? The wrong one. Orlando Magic
playoff hopeful.
Has to be playoff hopeful. Massive step last year by the Magic and Banchero and all these young guys that, what we expected the Hawks young guys to do, that Orlando Magic did.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Banchero to take another step. Yeah. Arguably like the Anthony Edwards type step to superstardom potentially. The other thing is they added shooting. KCP is there. You added defense. You're not gonna lose your defensive pedigree because KCP is not gonna drop that for you as well. The thing is, like, can they find a consistent offense outside of Paolo Banchero? And yes, Franz Wagner is gonna be the number 2 guy offensively in my opinion. And then Jalen Suggs is your full-time point guard. And let's see that was one of his strengths, right? Playmaking and defense. And now he's gonna do that. He's able to do that full time. What he did in Gonzaga here, I expect him to be well, and he's going to be in all NBA all defensive team consideration as well, and arguably MIP conversations, depending on how he does, and be that guy. Another team in playoff hopefuls is put Miami Heat in there.
Honestly, another team is also the Pacers.
Okay, so let's talk about both of these teams. You want to go Miami?
Yeah, no, you go Miami. You're a little bit higher than them.
I'm a little bit higher mainly because I feel like they didn't take the regular season seriously. And the last time Jimmy Butler came into a training camp, not looking like an emo or a long hair or whatever stuff he was planning on doing, they were a 1 seed, right? They were a 1 or 2 seed the year they got Kyle Lowry, I think, after the you guys Tampa year, right? That was the one, like, when they took it seriously, they were the 1 seed, 2 seed, consistently been in the conference finals at the minimum except for last year, and then obviously the year the Bucks won the championship. But again, when it comes like, I want to put them in playoff lock, but it's just the last 2 years they did not take it seriously. They had injuries, but I'm expecting a very motivated Jimmy Butler because of a contract situation, and especially Bam, because he's been constantly saying the defensive that he gets snubbed for depoy, and this might be the year he might try to shut him up and try to win it.
Bam's learning off Asia now.
Yeah, that's true.
So he might be better. Pacers, for me, they have Siakam from the beginning. Again, great run last year. Halliburton should take another step. Now he's playoff experience. You still have your defense in Neesmith being in the starting lineup again. You have good depth with Toppin coming off the bench. Nembhard's still there. Obviously, you still have Miles Turner. Again, you have spacing. You have pace. Just do the same thing offensively and pay a little bit more attention on the defensive side of the football. Defensive side of the court. And I think this team should get better. Right, they should have the chemistry, they should have the continuity, but then again, there are some holes where you can still see that I can't put them in lock.
Offensively, they're gonna be fun. Yeah, like I want to see more defensively. Aaron Neesmith and Andrew Nembhard have been the good pieces. That's why they're in the starting lineup. You're gonna have Ben Mathurin, arguably MIP/6 Man of the Year contender there as well.
McConnell.
TJ McConnell is like my version, another Tyus Jones type guy who will take care of the ball and make the right plays when he needs to. Like this shows the parity, right? Like, look how many teams we have in playoff hopeful that we could put up or even put down. It's just like even both. The teams we put in mid are arguably playoff hopefuls as well. Yeah, because
one conference heavily loaded, and that's where the LA Clippers played without Kawhi Leonard.
So where are you gonna put them, right?
I am still putting him in playoff hopeful.
How much do you believe in James Harden? Because Kawhi being out indefinitely, we don't know how long that indefinitely is, right? With Kawhi Leonard, they're probably a playoff lock. Without Kawhi Leonard, they might be bad, but bad enough, maybe mid.
Mid, yes. Yeah. I don't think they're bad, but not bad enough.
How much? Okay, so James Harden.
I have more, even without Kawhi Leonard, I have more faith in the Clippers than the Rockets. I have more faith in the Clippers than the Raptors. I have more faith in like almost all the teams. Spurs is the only one I could consider, but then again, they were 22 and freaking 60 last year.
So here's the thing.
So I do have more faith.
James Harden.
It's not because of James Harden.
Yeah, it's because of Ty Lue.
It's because of Ty Lue, one. But they have still good pieces around them at the end of the day, right? It's not. I think this squad with James Harden is better than the supporting cast that he had in Houston. Squad. I think this surrounding
the year before Chris Paul is what you're saying.
Yeah, like obviously without not the Chris Paul.
But here's the thing: James Harden is not Houston James Harden anymore. James Harden has been having hamstring and leg issues himself. Like obviously James Harden's off. Like let's just say he does get hurt. They're going to bad, but bad enough. Because like who's their best player? Norman Powell, Terrence Mann. I honestly don't know, right? Ivica Zubac. So like that roster is very flawed. But I'm gonna give the respect of James Harden because he kind of got what he wanted, right? He's gonna have his own team. He doesn't have to rely too much. He could play make. He could do whatever he wants. T. Lue's a very, very good coach, arguably the best in the NBA. Obviously a top 5 for sure. So because of that, I'll agree with you because I am a Kawhi Leonard fan, so I'm expecting him to see him back. As much as people want to say he should retire, because of his injuries have been crazy insane since he joined the Clippers. I feel like he will be back. And whenever Kawhi Leonard's on the court, how often does he have a bad game, right?
Should have stayed in Toronto. Honestly,
how often does Kawhi Leonard have a bad game when he's on the court?
Kawhi Leonard's at the end of the day, when healthy, Kawhi.
Even when he was partially hurt.
When healthy, Kawhi Leonard is top 10 in the NBA. Yeah. Right? When he's cleanly and playing properly.
When he was partially hurt, he was still cooking, I think, the Mavericks that year. Or whatever the case might be, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, at the end of the day, with Kawhi and with James, like, they're honestly a playoff law consideration for sure.
It's just the uncertainty of the injuries.
I expect Kawhi Leonard to play this year. I don't think he's out for the whole year. I think, will he be out for a good first chunk of the season? Yes, because he's the type of guy who's like, I want to be fully healthy before I play, which is honestly right now the smartest thing you can do. And now it's just about surviving. You have James Harden, you have a good supporting cast, you have a great head coach. You can survive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like whereas the Grizzlies last year, they couldn't survive without Ja. I think the Clippers could survive.
Okay, so that's the list. I'm still looking at the Bucks and Sixers and considering putting them on contenders.
I am not.
Even the Bucks?
No.
I wouldn't mind moving the Bucks only though.
I'm not considering.
Giannis is like, listen.
At the end of the day, what did we see last year? We saw pretty terrible ball.
You have the best duo.
You have the best duo that did not perform last year. You have best duo run by a head coach who hasn't been great this year. But as of this moment, the Milwaukee Bucks are not a contender. Remember, as of this moment.
Still, it doesn't feel right because, like, listen, Jokic, MVP contention. Thunder, Shea, Luka, right? The Celtics just have a team, whether you want to put Jason Tatum in that conversation or not. Giannis belongs in that respective tier, in my opinion. That's how good he is. He's so good that he could carry a team himself. And you give him Damian Lillard, who is now taking the offseason seriously because he knows he's not going anywhere. I want to put, that's the one team I'll leave Sixers there. I think we need to have another Eastern Conference team up there, and that's the team I want to put in contenders. Because at the end of the day, you still have, and you said it yourself, they still are the best duo in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I expect them to be much better.
Let's just say,
and at this moment, Gary Trent Jr. is also more of an upgrade than Malik Beasley, in my opinion.
But the difference is, right, like, I feel like now this has become a projection, right? And in my predictions, I put the Bucks in the final.
I still have a contender.
Right?
Yeah.
I projected. But as of this moment, nothing of what they shown last year, nothing of their head coaching has convinced me that they are a bona fide contender in this league right now.
But in my opinion, if you have the best duo, you're in contention.
But you could argue the Knicks are better than them. You could still argue the Sixers. Like, Celtics, bona fide.
Yeah.
Right? They're not bona fide. They're in the tier of Sixers, Knicks, and Bucks. That's a tier in the East right now. That's just how it is.
I just can't.
These three on the West are in one tier for contenders. That's why they're up here.
You can argue the Nuggets got worse as well.
You can. But at the end of the day, these three teams, Mavericks, Thunder, and Nuggets, are in one tier in the West for me. And that's why they are a contender, because they're in one tier. In the East, there's only one team, and that's the Celtics. As simple as that.
I still consider the Bucks. I don't know. I'm not trying to go recency bias heavy. I still think they're a contender with that roster, even right now. That's just me. You also got to remember Giannis was out. That's why they didn't go. They couldn't beat the Pacers.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Giannis was playing.
Exactly.
They would have beat the Pacers.
He's been getting more injury concerns right now lately too. What honestly, like, I know Embiid's way worse, but I don't have any I'm not convinced that Giannis could play a full season. As of recently either, in my opinion.
At the end of the day, I think you leave it there. I know you're controlling it.
Because of that, I'm putting the Pistons lower. Screw you. Because of that, the Pistons.
Fine, I'll take the trade-off. At the end of the day, yes, the Pistons.
If you're changing something, I'm changing something, and Pistons don't deserve to be up there right now as of this moment.
Okay, that one I'm fine. I'll give it to you because the last 2 years there's a lot of wait and see moments, and we haven't seen it yet. Fair,
yeah.
But I still need to put the Bucks.
It's not wait and see. That's why.
Especially because you have them in the finals yourself too.
Yeah, but that's a projection.
True,
it's a prediction. This is as of right now.
But even as of right now, I think on paper they're a contending team.
Yeah, just not convincing right now, in my opinion. There's so many holes last year that to the point that they had to, I guess, fire their head coach when they were actually winning. Right? The point that they actually got dominated by the Celtics every single time they played last year, when healthy, like, nothing convinces me right now.
They made some changes, and Gary Trent Jr. is a better defender.
Okay, yeah, whatever. It's Gary Trent. At the end of the day, it's not a Gary Trent Jr. It's on Damian Lillard.
I know.
Can he coexist?
That's my point. I think now he has a proper offseason himself.
Yeah, I know. He has a proper offseason, but can he have a proper season? What was his biggest issue last season?
Because of the bad offseason, he had...
No, but what was the biggest issue? He came out and said himself, I'm alone here in Milwaukee. There's nothing for me to do.
Now I feel like that's not going to be the case anymore. That's the thing. So, I mean, I'll let you have the Pistons move. Give me the Bucks move.
Right now, this Damian Lillard thing is like Eden Hazard in Chelsea. He's good in Chelsea, but the moment he leaves, it went absolutely downhill. And right now for Damian Lillard,
you got to remember, he wasn't terrible with Milwaukee either. Eden Hazard was terrible with Real Madrid.
Yeah, no, but that's what it feels like right now. That's the comparison I'm thinking.
I gotta give Giannis his respect. Like he's our top 3 MVP, well, my top 3 MVP contender. Right, Edwards is a different story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I want Milwaukee up there. I'm gonna just say that. I'll let you. If that's a trade-off to put Detroit down at Cooper Flag, so be it.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, that's our tier list down below. Do you want to make any more changes?
Don't want to change Milwaukee. That's what.
Outside of that,
outside of that, I think I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I'm fine with this list currently as well. Comment down below what you guys think. Comment down below who do you think will be the NBA champions and who's the best team this season. Check out all our other NBA videos we've posted. The two conference predictions we have, and hit the post notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.